Hello and good morning. I welcome you to today's morning meeting on Wednesday, the 11th of April 2018. This is Jens Klatt speaking, exclusively presenting this format to you here for JFD Brokers as the Global Head of Research and Education. We want to have a look at the markets, how things are going today on a day where the inflation data from the US will be published at 12:30 p.m. GMT, so 3 hours from now. And also the Fed minutes will be published here from the last meeting in March. Yes, we have April, so it's March. And I think that both events, even though they probably might have some bigger impact on the markets, I don't see big volatility coming here from them, to be honest. But it's more likely that that the comments from Mr. Novotny yesterday from the ECB probably will drive markets further. So therefore, probably, let me just do the following. I think this makes the most sense here. 1 second, please. I haven't prepared this since it's idea I have right now. ECB. Let me just see. Yes, there we go. There's the Reuters comment. 1 second, please. So let me just bring in this tab here. So ECB can lift deposit rate to get hikes rolling. Novotny. So yesterday, Mr. Ivot Novotny here brought up some quite hawkish comments, which led to some euro strength here, and in fact potentially also drove the US dollar lower and had some impacts here on all cross rates in general. So what Novotny came up with was that he said that the ECB could raise its deposit rate first before moving its main interest rate later, and that also the ECB QE program could end here into the end of the year. Okay, so this is something you can read here. Novotny told Reuters in an interview that the ECB 2.55 trillion euro, which means 3.1 trillion US dollar bond buying program sorry, would be wound down by the end of this year, which would then pave the way for the first rate rise since a fumbled move in 2011. And the interesting thing about this is that it was what's the word for dementi? I think dementi is the same in English, but I'm not sure. Let me just see. I think you probably know what I want to say. Denial. Yeah, it's denial. In fact, it's not dementi, but it's denial. It was denied from the ECB a little later on, and so you can pretty easily spot where this comment from Mr. Novotny came. That was obviously here. So in fact, a very interesting move, which resulted in a only in fact 50 pips move on the upside in Euro USD, and then here there was this denial from the ECB, and all those gains were given back. Nevertheless, and the interesting thing, this is what now comes into play, the ECB obviously denied those comments. Nevertheless, Euro USD makes back those let's call them denial losses here, and not only that, but heads to new highs here, meaning that obviously market participants are not buying the comments from the ECB here, and they probably see some truth in it, and probably interpret the words from Mr. Novotny as a kind of a test balloon here. And the interesting thing about this now is, and this is in fact, let's probably first end here the price action USD. Nothing changed so far, so let's probably assume let's assume the following, that numbers around the ECB the US inflation and the Fed minutes, then a little later on the numbers around the CPIs come in better than expected, probably making it more likely that the Fed will hike 4 times instead of only 3 in 2018. So far, we have already seen 1 rate hike, meaning there's 2 left. And probably that makes it a little more likely that there will be a rate hike. Probably the Fed minutes in the evening then will suggest something similar. Yes, that could lead to some that could be the reason why we could see some US dollar momentum then, and that probably the US dollar can make back some of the losses here, which the US dollar has seen since the afternoon from yesterday onwards. Even though I have to say I don't really see that this will result in that high volatility, since the path of the Fed and the monetary policy of the Fed is already paved. I don't see any big surprises here, to be honest. Nevertheless, and now this is the interesting thing. So price action EURUSD should stay choppy, but what's interesting, I think, is what we've seen here in the DAX as a result, and the answer is nothing. And this is really interesting, because you can see that the price action is in general very, very choppy sideways, so no big action, nothing at all. That has been the case yesterday, but this has also been the case today. There has been a small attempt here for an attack on the downside, but it was bought back immediately. And the interesting thing now is that the market can stabilize even though those comments are quite restrictive. And this is in fact indicating strength, I think. And I think chances are currently higher that the DAX will see a push on the upside instead of seeing a push on the downside, and probably going for also a retest of the closing price here from Monday, which can be found around 12,230 to 250 points, somewhere in this region. And the interesting thing, why do I say that, is the following: because I think that this is now a bullish consolidation with some further potential on the upside, which could bring us up to 12,500 points and probably even higher than that in the upcoming days. I mean, sure, we depend somehow on the US equity markets, but if we take the restrictive comments here from Novotny alone, I think that's first sign, positive sign, that the DAX could see some further gains in the near future. And now something even more interesting happened, because I presented the same idea in the German version of this format, and there I came up with something which is probably known as sentiment analysis, something you might be aware of if you follow the morning meetings here for quite a while now. From time to time, I have a look at the developments in the option markets. And the interesting thing is that even though next week on Friday, it's not a big expiration, but nevertheless, it's a small expiration, which could probably result in some further volatility on one or the other in one or the other way, which is especially true when looking at the current range-bound price action. And so what I did was I looked at the right now open interest in written calls here, and even though this looks quite much in terms of pure numbers you're presented, what I did was I just snapshotted the region which is currently interesting, 12,300 up to 12,900 points. And now the interesting thing is that if you look at the current region, which is slightly ahead of us, respectively above us, it's 12,400 to 12,500. Probably you can also extend this to 12,600 points. So this is the current region you can look at. And if you sum up these numbers here, you can see that with a push above 12,400 to 12,450 points, we already have an open interest which is coming in close around 13,000 open contracts. Meaning, I could imagine if the DAX is pushing towards and above 12,400 points, and probably also above 12,500 points, that we could get to see quite aggressive short squeeze on the upside. Which could probably not only push us towards 12,600 points then, but easily push us as high as 12,800 points, where you can see that here the market found some support back in December 2017, and after it broke below that level, took on some significant momentum on the downside. And with this in mind, I have to say that it's not only some feeling that there might be some strength currently in the DAX, and there is some potential for a short squeeze on the upside. But as you can see here, obviously the market has not only some potential for a squeeze, but it's also something you can read out of the current developments in the option markets of options expiring next Friday. So I'm sorry, not next Friday, but next week Friday. That's better. So yeah, with this in mind, you can obviously see that there's a very, very interesting development currently taking place, and underlining here that the DAX is probably, especially now after the comments from Novotny, which did not result in a sharp sell-off in some way, but in fact the DAX stabilized at a quite elevated level. Probably this is also underlining that there is something around the corner which could happen on the upside, or more likely on the upside, that the potential breakout will occur here. Not sure if it really will happen today. I think this mainly depends on the US equity markets, and potentially US equity markets, I'm not sure, will they have a chance to perform really strong on the upside. So far also here price action is quite choppy sideways, and after yesterday we have to say that yes, there was a push higher, and yes, we pushed back towards 24,500 points. Nevertheless, to see some kind of bullish trigger, I think we need to make it back above 24,600, probably even 24,700 points for further momentum on the upside. Respectively, we can also go back here to the S&P. Some of you might recall yesterday's special webinar for JFD in the afternoon here. There was my idea that I said, yes, I think with a break on the upside here, we have some potential up to 2,675 points. Unfortunately, we didn't really make it to this level, but saw all in all a very choppy price action. So market had really some trouble, broke out here on the upside. I think the thoughts I presented there were stopped out with this candle at something like 4:15 p.m. GMT then, after the market decided to probably drift up to this region again. Nevertheless, if you carefully watch here, you can also see that all in all, even if we made it up to this level, it's necessary that we make it above 670, 680 here to see some further potential gains then coming, or bids coming in here, which will push us on the upside. And this is something which we definitely have to wait for. But all in all, I have to say, there is a strong feeling that there will be at least an attempt. And if this is a successful attempt, then this could drive the DAX higher, and then those numbers come into play here, which could result in some further strength on the upside, and quite significant push above 12,500 points. Not sure if it will happen today, respectively in the upcoming days then, but I think chances are currently higher that there will be a push on the upside. Instead, that we'll get to see, or that we get to see a push on the downside here. So I think bulls are currently, they are currently in charge of the action, even though not showing the strength. But this could change quite soon, in fact. So that's it on EURUSD. That's it on the DAX. Unfortunately, I can't present you any further. So even though price action currently is somehow calm, respectively, looks very boring, I think chances are definitely higher that we are about to see bigger price action. That bigger price action lies ahead of us. Unfortunately, that it's nothing, or that this is also showing that currently yeah, the price action looks very, very boring again. That's also true for dollar Japanese yen. So we are still trading below 107.50 to 108. Currently, we are also drifting towards 107. Currently trading slightly below that level, but only 2 pips, so that could change in an instance and immediately here. Nevertheless, here it's also the case that you shouldn't be too aggressively long, respectively too aggressively short, due to the overall choppy price action. Some more aggressive bullish attacks could occur once we make it above 107.50, 108. Again, everything below that should be considered choppy. Same is true for gold, which is, yes, somehow drifting back towards 360, 365 again, which is the very, very crucial level on the upside. Nevertheless, as long as we trade below that level, yeah, we shouldn't probably we shouldn't probably we shouldn't probably be too aggressive for long engagements. Yeah, so which is also, by the way, very interesting that I say that for gold, the bullish breakout, and I make it a topic. But this is something which is a little weird. It's not unusual, but nevertheless, it looks somehow difficult. We know that gold is a classic risk off and volatility haven, let's say. So if volatility picks up, you usually expect gold to see some gains here. Look at this, what just happened here at the beginning of February. Even though I think that's a bad example, to be honest. Yeah, right now looking at it, I think it's a very bad example, because we see volatility in the markets spiking, and then we see gold under pressure, only to see gold rising shortly after. In general, gold sees itself in a very, very choppy environment currently, and if we really get to see some bullishness in the equity markets, I think chances are diminishing that gold will see the quite significant attack at 360, 365. I think therefore a risk off is a better and way more aggressive. If we have such a driver here with volatility and risk off forming, I think the chances increase that we'll get a successful attempt to break 360, 365 here, and that's one good reason to probably wait for really things go hand in hand here, respectively. Be a little careful if there will be an attempt to break this region at 360, 365 based on the current momentum here. So what I want to say, just be careful a little. Be careful, be patient. I think the break in gold, we are not yet about to see a significant and sustainable break here, and that's the only thing I want to emphasize here. So I think equity markets are probably a little more interesting currently, and gold stays choppy, and we should wait for the break to 360, 365 to happen. If my bullish outlook becomes true, and I'm on the right side here for equities, I think that makes it more unlikely that the break of 360, 365 is around the corner in gold. Nevertheless, watch out. That's all I say. But don't be too optimistic right now that we get to see this break. That's it from my end. Happy trading. Watch your stops. Talk to you again tomorrow on Thursday, the 12th of April 2018. I definitely look forward to it. I wish you all the best. Happy trading. Take care. See you tomorrow, and bye-bye.